Okay, everybody, it's the time is 7 o'clock, so we are going to start our regular council meeting for the Township of Nipissing for Tuesday, August 13th, 2024. We'll start with our land acknowledgement. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Corporation of the Township of Nipissing respectfully acknowledges it is located on the traditional lands of the Red Rock Indian Band, signatory to the Robinson Superior Treaty of 1850. And the township further respectfully acknowledges the historic presence of the Métis people on these lands. And I just wanted to state as well that Councillor Cartwright has sent her regrets. She's on holidays. Disclosures of pecuniary interest. I have a disclosure of pecuniary interest. I did not fill out a form. I apologize for that. I can do that now if you hand me one, and it is for, thank you. Item. The Superior Country. Oh no, sorry, the mat. Yeah. The Superior Country Cruise Ship report I can stay in because that's just for information, but the 6C is the one I'm going to be stepping out for. I'll fill that after. Okay. So we'll start with approval of previous minutes of July 16th, 2024, regular council meeting. Okay, is there any errors or omissions or any comments on the, go ahead, Councillor Hart.
Found the one in reference to the Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
It wasn't actually voted on, so
Yeah,
it never even reached a vote. So
we left it for this one.
no, there was no,
No.
there was no first or second. So it wasn't.
Right, so it didn't go to vote. You're right. So that could be changed. Okay. Duly noted. Oh, sorry, we're gonna have I forgot because it's not on the agenda here. We're gonna first pass resolution number 170-2024 because we are amending the agenda. Moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart, that council hereby amends the agenda of the meeting to add item 7J to appoint a member to the Township's Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I'm just gonna put as amended. Is that okay on the minutes? As amended. Okay, so this is resolution number 171-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart, that the council meeting minutes of July 16th, 2024 are hereby adopted as amended by the deputy clerk. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. All right, we're going to move on to finance, confirm and approve accounts. This is resolution number 172-2024, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the payment of accounts as listed on the following payment voucher being the same is hereby confirmed and approved. Payment voucher number 2024 in the amount of $109,612.80, and payment voucher number 2024 in the amount of $257,113.93. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, we also under finance have a letter from the OPP on the new OPPA agreements. So this would be, they just finished their bargaining, and it's just a statement of the rate increase for the salaries effective September 1st, 2024. Many detachment frontline constables and sergeants will receive an 3% frontline patrol premium as well. So understanding there's probably gonna be an increase in our OPP payments from that, right? Yeah. So this is just for information. Does anyone have any comments or?
Is that 3, you said?
Well, it is, so, sorry, that was just for the sergeants there. So the new agreements include general salary year-over-year rate increases of 4.7% in 2023, 4.5% in 2024, and 2.75% in 2025 and 2026. And then the 3% was for the constable, frontline constables and sergeants as well. Okay. Next, we have a delegation. Our neighbors of the 145th Street area. So, Stacy, you're gonna be speaking on that, so,
I talked to Lars on Friday,
Oh.
actually.
okay,
I just had some questions, follow-up questions, if and when it was adopted and enacted. I can go over what I spoke with him about, then he can comment on it, because he answered a lot of the questions.
Great. sure.
The following are a few questions concerning the noise bylaw. 1, how will this be enforced when needed? 2, do we call the bylaw officer directly, or can we call the town office to report? 3, will our present bylaw officer be able to enforce while only working 10 hours a week? 4, does the bylaw officer have to personally hear an infraction to enforce it? 5, will we make a video of an infraction with a decibel meter in the frame for proof? How many witnesses are needed at the time of infraction to report it and have it enforced?
All good questions.
Yeah.
So he answered most of them, and I don't know if you wanna answer them again for them, like he explained quite a bit to me.
Sure. Councillor.
Sure, go ahead, Lars. Yeah.
So as far as enforcement when needed, it depends on the situation, but certainly if it's in the evenings, we don't necessarily need to be there on the day of the offense. Certainly that helps. But if there is sufficient evidence through video or through affidavits, then it has to be sufficient. You have to be able to justify to back it up. So if that's, if we can obtain that evidence, then that's useful. For calling the bylaw officer, so it doesn't have to necessarily, it can be, there is a bylaw number that individuals will be able to call. So there's a specific cell number that they can contact if required. And worst case scenario, leave a message. And if you have any questions, you can always contact the office. And then if the individual is only working 10 hours a week, certainly still then the expectations that we are able to meet the bylaw, be able to enforce it. If not, then we have to address that, and then that would be a discussion with council. And yes, we can make a video. The decibel meter necessarily isn't required because there may be some calibration issues with the decibel meter and how you're trying to look at it. And so it's better just to get the evidence, have affidavit signed, and get as much as you can to be able to go forward with the case. And for witnesses, that would be your affidavits. That's what's required.
So where did we go with the fines on that? Like for the first infraction, second, third, are we entertaining?
It's in the bylaw in the package that's further down there.
Okay.
It's up for
I can see
discussion,
that part.
so we can probably talk about it at that point. That's okay. Yeah. Okay, we're good?
Have you got your answers, Stacy?
Yes, well, and the reason I asked, does he have to be there, because in all the times I called the police, they never actually made it there in time, most of the time. So, but they took our word for it, because there's 2 of us, plus there were neighbors that heard it as well.
Yeah.
But if I have to track everybody down every time, because even then, as fast as they come, it's not within minutes, it's like within a half an hour to an hour to 2 hours.
Yeah.
So that's why when you're only working 10 hours a week, I don't expect them to be there when I call. But there has to be a way to enforce it.
Does it happen during the day too, or is it
This
all?
is my issue.
Oh,
This is my whole issue, is the
Yeah.
daytime.
okay,
Police can take care of this from 11 to 7.
Yeah.
It's the daytime. This is the issue.
And that's addressed in the bylaw, so we'll
okay.
talk about that when we get to the bylaw there, so.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, number 5, recreation, we have a staff report here in regards to an off-leash dog park So we had asked staff to investigate that, just to look into that potential. And so we have a council report here from Simran, our special events intern, which is very, very complete and detailed.
Formatted very nicely.
Very nice format. Yeah, very good. Very easy to read. Lars, do you want to talk about that at all and the sort of the options that we have moving forward and what we'd like to recommend on
Sure.
this?
So, in reading, or if council's reviewed the report, you have a few options, and there's a budget included within the report. So it certainly depends on the size of the park of what you're looking at, and if you're utilizing other fencing. One thing that you do need to consider is that the recommended height is 6 feet. So if you are going with a 4-foot fence on the back of the ball diamond, then it would be a bit more difficult. You probably have to replace it. So if you are looking at, the average is a 3 to 5 acre for a dog park, and then therefore your cost of fencing is going to go up substantially. So there's a few budget items for you to consider. Certainly with the equipment, that's not necessarily required. So you could remove that if you wanted to look at a lower cost option. And we could try and get the cost as low as possible if council has a specific budget that they want to allocate. There really isn't any funding options available, so this would be something that would either have to be matched with potentially some sponsorships or look for a fundraising opportunity, or it would be through the taxpayers that would be funding this. So that's something definitely to consider. And there was I think a letter that was sent to council about some concern about
Yeah.
the location. So I did take a look through today just to see if there's any alternative sites, and we do have other property available, but we would probably need another report from staff to kind of recommend where we're going to go if it's not going to be in that location. So the recommendation would be, if council does want to move ahead with this, set a budget line item, or maybe also have consultations with the recreation committee, and then from there determine then staff can provide a report of where the location is going to be recommended to go.
Councilor Hart?
I like the idea, but I also like the idea of maybe allowing fundraising to take place for the thing from the public, because dog owners are a very large and giving and loyal bunch. And to offset the increased costs and stuff, just to have that. I've always visioned that ever since I even first heard about it, something like that. This would also fall under not just the rec, but it would also fall under tourism, because there's a lot of people that drive through that would like to do that. So there's other potential funding revenue streams through the tourism and infrastructure department, in my opinion. But I would like to see a groundswell of dog owners starting to maybe generate some fundraising and stuff for something like this.
Yep.
If we can come up with a valid plan and then a location. So,
Anyone else?
Personally, I like the location that was suggested. I'm not sure where the other two properties are that you're speaking about.
There's a number that we have. You could look at, I guess, the opposite side. Well, we do have options down near the water where some of the trails are. We couldn't look at that, but you'd be looking at a bit more invasive as far as opening up. Alternatively, we do have the west side of Greenmantle Drive, that back part of the subdivision, but that's a little bit more rough with terrain, so you have to pick a spot that's a bit more selective. So it would probably need a thorough review to determine where, if it's not going to be that park area, then where else it could go.
Yeah, the parking would be a concern, right? Where you have to bring the dogs there usually with, if not walking and you're within the area, you'd have to drive there. So the parking is going to be a case you need.
No, you do have the arena right there, and you do have the curling club right there.
Yeah.
So there are, I understand some of the mobility issues with where it is too, so that would have to be addressed. Yeah.
You may not get the full 3 acres or so in that area.
Yeah.
The nice thing is you can utilize the fencing that's there, but it's a bit more challenging. You might not get the full value out of it. And also you need to consider what other priorities may be within rec. If it's being financed through fundraising, then it's a different story.
Yeah. That's just that kind of changes the narrative.
Yeah, exactly.
I know in Calgary, they'd have a user pay when you buy a license to use a dog park.
Yeah, so this is a great report. I just wanted to say that it was very well done. My thinking, and I understand that there are other priorities, absolutely, for recreation. My thoughts are to get like a plan and a budget that is as little as possible, like as little as possible, and then maybe do some kind of a matching, like put the word out, but eventually when it's all said and done and there's some sort of a plan with a concrete budget, put out sort of the word and say, you know, I want to say, let's say it comes out at $40,000. Say, you know, if the community can raise somehow $20,000 or 20,000, and then we can find some donations, the town will match or something like that, right?
Yeah.
$10,000 is a lot easier to swallow than 30 or 40. And like you said, I think there's a lot of people in town that are really passionate about their dogs and would like to see something like this happen. So maybe we can direct staff to look further into it, and then you'd suggested to bring it to the rec committee as well? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know at what stage you would bring it to the rec committee, if it was like at the stage at like the sort of the finalized proposal with the actual budget and everything, or would it be at this stage? I'm not sure.
You can do either, yeah. If you want staff to go further, then I would recommend that maybe.
Because I think if it's more focused, then there might be more valid discussion,
Yeah.
whereas like this is kind of like, if, you know, there's all these different things, but if it's more focused and pinpointed that this is the cost, this is, or these are the options as to where to put it and all that kind of stuff, then it might be a better, like, more valid discussion at the committee level.
Okay.
And then also, we did receive a letter like yesterday, I think.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
so that can be, those points can be considered
Yeah.
as well.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, or council, so there would be a budget with proposed sites and then options as far as size.
And then depending on the budget, we can look at, you know, 50-50 community fundraising rematch or something like that, eventually, at some point when it's
Yeah.
possible. But it's always nice to have something, you know, in the hopper if, you know, an entity comes along and says, we wanna donate to something in the community that's really community driven or something like that. I mean, it might not necessarily choose to do that with the dog park, but it's nice to have kind of a project that's ready if someone wants to take it on in the community.
And you have the community donating into that, you generate more community spirit towards it as well. So,
Overall, though, in the big picture, it needs to be considered in the budget.
Absolutely.
Because I did read something here that if you're proceeding with possible, the big one, it's like a 1.5% raise in taxes.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not what we, yeah, I
No, no,
don't think
I'm just
any of
worried
us
that,
have the stomach to do that.
Yeah.
That's why we would like to see a very, like a honed down budget
Yeah.
as small as possible, and then look at matching and other ways
Yeah,
of,
there's.
because there is
procedure
no
to get
funding
that.
out there. There's no
No, no.
government funding for a dog park. That's.
I would caution council on spending, say, 40 to 80 grand on a dog park when we have quite a few priorities.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm
But
not saying
it's
that.
a good thing to look at, and then with more information, you make a better decision.
Yeah.
I think there's enough people too, if for a small fee, if they contributed something to have it. Tourism wise, I don't know if we could do anything about that, but it's gonna take a parking area, which would add to this cost if we started making parking lots. So there is one at the arena already, so it's not that far to walk with your dog in the car.
Yeah. And there's ways to test if there's like an issue, like dogs barking, there's ways to test, like bring some dogs there, bark, go on the other side and see if you can hear them, like, you know, that's,
yeah,
trees make a really good barrier,
Yeah.
but. Okay, we'll move on, guys. So you're good with that direction, Lars, or do you need more
There may be a
information?
resolution actually where you can defer for more.
Oh, there is,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I already
Um,
signed it.
173-2024, moved by Counselor Westhaver, seconded by Counselor Hart. That council hereby accept the off-leash dog park report 2408-13-1 for information with the following options to, as presented to council.
Yeah.
So which one are we looking at here, Lars?
Defer. C.
Just for further information
Involved.
or refer the information? Oh, because we wanted to get a more concrete proposal
Yeah.
before
Okay.
going forward to
Yeah,
So
the
we can't
committee.
really fill that out, right?
Yeah, well, defers
It
for
defer.
further information. Okay, so we'll do C. For further, for information with the following option that's presented to council, D, for defer for further information. Or C, sorry. But this council hereby selects option C, defers for further information. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. It's been a month, it's been a month, give me a break now. Okay. Okay, bylaws, civil marriage solemnization services bylaw. So this is basically to allow our new CAO, which by the way, welcome Lars.
Yeah, I was waiting.
I was like, we were doing all this stuff and I'm like, let's go, let's start. And I forgot, welcome Lars Moffat. Lars is our new CAO clerk, treasurer, and we're very excited to have him here. And welcome Lars, thank you. Appreciate all the hard work you've put in thus far, and now you're gonna be conducting marriages if we pass this bylaw through.
One more duty.
One more duty, okay. So, resolution 174-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart. That leave be given to introduce a civil solemnization services bylaw to implement marriage solemnization services with the Township of Nipigon, recognizing Lars Moffat as being authorized to provide said services under OREG 2854 and the Marriage Act 1990. That the bylaw be read a first and second time, that the bylaw be read a third time, and finally passed and numbered bylaw number 1939 of the Township of Nipigon. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Noise bylaw and staff report. Okay, this is another one that has options. So we're either accepting the draft noise bylaw as presented and direct staff to receive approval of the set fine schedule before a final bylaw be passed by council, or direct staff to amend the draft noise bylaw with the requested revisions as directed by council with an amended copy, returning to the September 10th, 2024 meeting for consideration. Do you want to say anything about this bylaw, Lars, or, yeah? Okay, go ahead.
This is a follow-up to the last meeting where it was recommended by council to go and complete a draft noise bylaw with some information back to council. So some of the, going through it, I did also provide some information on what the set phase. So I always get the terminology wrong, but part one to 3 fines are. So part 1 is your ticket. That's where you can physically give something like a speeding ticket, and then part 3 offenses is where you actually have to go to court and go to a justice of the peace to actually be able to lay a fine within the bylaw. So currently, the bylaw that's existing with the noise bylaw is only a part 3 offense, so you can't lay a ticket or a fine right on it. And typically, when you have to go through it, you have to get approval from the province to actually get those part 1 fences solidified. So recommendation as to why that we're council should allow staff to get the approval beforehand, because if you approve the bylaw in principle, then if something had to be changed, you have to go back and change the bylaw anyways. So it's better to get pre-approval and then send it. So typically it takes several months to get that formal finalized approval from the province. So any scenario where there has to be fines issued would have to be under a part 3 offense until this is fully passed and approved by the province. So the recommendation is for a $300 fine. All fines under part 1 have to be reasonable, and so when research and conducting with other, just past experience with other municipal work, noise bylaws typically don't go more than the 300, and then after that, it's kind of considered not reasonable, so that's why we're recommending to go with that amount. There was also some discussion of maybe doing the first offense, second offense, and third offense charges. I personally wouldn't recommend going that route, and just, it's a bit more technical when you get into the bylaw writing and also from the set fines. So if an individual, say, you have one instance where they are violating the bylaw, you can leave a warning and discuss it with them. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily lay a fine, but it gives you the ability to keep going back and laying fines in multiple days.
Sounds good.
Okay, so are we good to
What was-
accept? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
when they don't pay the fine, there was something about not putting it on the taxes, but it goes to the provincial offenses thing, or- yeah.
That's how we get collected.
So does that go, that fine would go on their license then?
Not necessarily the driver's license, but it would be collected through the court process.
Oh, okay, because I thought then would have maybe a little bit more bite if it actually affected their license, you know?
Yeah.
Because the $300 fine, they just ignore it forever, maybe, yeah. Yeah, so,
So it would be similar to any court process if you, if you're any provincial offense, if you don't pay within a certain time, then you have to go to the court.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Sorry, any more questions for Lars? You good, Greg?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
good.
okay, sorry about that.
But that's a nice amount of
Yeah.
fine. Like,
$300.
nobody's gonna wanna bite that 2 or 3 times.
No, and it's a bit of a bite, it's a little more than 100, right? So we're gonna go with A, accept the draft, why not, okay, so,
Yeah.
resolution, sorry,
I was just wondering about the details that were, what's the wording of it?
is it in the
I
package?
didn't get a copy of the ones.
Oh.
The package, it's online, I don't know if you can, if you can grab it off the website.
I just didn't go and look,
Yeah, it does, so we all read it through and it does take into consideration everything that you've brought forward to us here in Illinois.
Is this the one?
Right.
Yeah, I would.
Is this it?
Oh, so-
This one?
Yeah,
Yes.
that looks
Yeah.
like it.
But, yeah. Thanks, Glenn. Your check's in the mail. Okay, so 175 2024, moved by Counselor Westhaver, seconded by Counselor Hart. The council receives a staff report 240813-2 on proposed noise bylaw revisions and the draft noise bylaw, which included a set fine schedule, and that the following options are presented to council. A, accept the draft noise bylaw as presented and direct staff to receive approval of the set fine schedule before a final bylaw be passed by council. B, direct staff to amend the draft noise bylaw with the requested revisions as directed by council with an amended copy returning to the September 10th, 2024 meeting for consideration, that this council hereby selects option A. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm just trying to find where the warning thing is. and don't we need that in this one?
Yeah.
Do you want to ask Lars about that?
Yeah, the wording in here, the warning first, next time the
There it is.
fine.
You don't necessarily put the wording in or the warning in the bylaw. The bylaw officer has the ability to make an interpretation.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Glenn.
The prohibitions by time and place, it still lists 11 PM to 7 AM.
There's.
For construction only.
That's fine.
Okay.
So any other
Just-
item,
It follows,
anytime, yeah.
just making sure.
Before we finalize, okay. So that this council hereby selects option A. All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed? And carries. Okay. Okay, municipal accommodation tax bylaw and staff report. Glenn, I believe you are the acting mayor, while I will be stepping out for pecuniary interest as my employer is may be involved within that in the future. So I'm gonna step out
I don't believe it's when.
No, it's not.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September,
And then we went with, so we're,
June, March.
so we're now in the third
August?
quarter.
Yeah.
So now it's just between Anne Marie and Greg, so actually.
Oh, okay. So we were going back to the alphabet again, but that's okay. Whoever is.
I did send it out in the email.
Yes.
So I guess it would be great.
Okay,
Lucky me.
here you are.
Light reading while it goes.
Moved by Councillor Hart, second by Councillor Westhaver. Staff have provided a report number 2024-08-13-3 and a revised draft municipal accommodation bylaw, tax bylaw. Be it resolved that the lead be given to introduce a bylaw to establish a municipal accommodation tax within the municipal boundaries of the Township of Nipigon effective October 1st, 2024. That this bylaw be read a first and second time, and that the said bylaw be read a third time. Finally passed and numbered bylaw number 1940 of the Township of Nipigon. Any discussion? Okay.
There were some questions that you asked.
Straight on?
There's about the Airbnbs and stuff like that.
So it will be covered under the definition of accommodation in that bylaw.
Yeah, I think it was something about that.
So I know there's some issues with Airbnbs and.
Okay, I guess we can move on. Suzanne can come back in. Yeah, wherever she is.
Could be
We
good.
can hand the ropes back to her.
Well, we'll just put their net tax in place.
Yeah, that's great.
This is that one there. Information. Okay, next on our agenda, this is a letter that we received, Parks Canada Development Plans down at the marina. We did receive this letter like the day after the day before our last council meeting, so we weren't able to include it in our package. So we do have it this time. Does anyone have any comments on this? There's obviously no resolution or anything for it. It's just for information purposes.
I guess basically what I'm taking from it is we just have to hurry up and wait. It's in their hands and we'll find out when it's finished.
You did tell us who to contact though.
Yep,
The band basically told us no. So
Yeah.
Deal with Park, which makes sense. Park Canada is the proponent down there.
That's the thing, that's I think the one that really comes to light is that Parks Canada is the one that's the lead down there. So
Yeah,
it's-
so that's who we communicate with. There.
so hurry up and wait till everything's done.
Yeah, so the letter was from Anishinaabe Nation. And yeah, basically said that Parks Canada is our contact. And if we wanted any further information, there's some folks there to contact as well. I did reach out to Sharon Hayes, who is the regional manager. And she did reiterate that there is a archaeological study happening,
Mhm.
and they're waiting for that study to be submitted to them. So they're in the waiting mode as well. And when they get that report, that's when they will make their decision as to what the next step will be. I did ask that when they do make a decision, that they contact us as a council before the media, because I did express my disappointment with that whole, the way that it rolled out. When the construction was stopped and the human remains were found, that we kind of found out about it in the news with everybody else. I think as a courtesy, it would be good for them to contact us first. And so she agreed to that and she apologized and everything. It's all good. But yeah, they're waiting for that report in order to make a decision.
Well, it definitely wasn't a grave site. It was a one bone
At that point,
at that point.
In
And they're
June.
still sifting
Yeah.
the pile that was taken out of there just to be sure. But
Yeah.
so far, it looks like everything's going well.
okay. Any more discussion on that? No. B, Superior Country Cruise Ship Report. So we do have Dan Bevilacqua here. I don't know if you guys want to hear him go through the report, or if you've gone through the report and you have some questions for him. He's here to
I've
answer.
gone through it.
You want him to go through it?
Or a couple highlights, maybe?
Reader's Digest.
Pilot,
Yeah, how about the highlights?
There.
cruise ship report for dummies, there we
Yeah,
go.
look at, he's got highlights.
No offense, no offense.
I already dumbed it down,
I
so
know.
we're pretty good. So it's been a while since we gave an update on cruise ships, so Superior Country obviously covers a vaster area than just the North Shore. However, our cruise ship work is for the communities along the North Shore, so in 2022, Thunder Bay started actually hosting cruise ships for the first time in a long time, so that's where we kind of identified a great opportunity for the rest of the region, and we started working towards that opportunity. So in order to do that, we developed a cruise ship readiness plan to review the area from Silver Islet to Marathon. Really to determine what we had, what was market ready, what our, I hate the phrase, but the low hanging fruit was that could get to market readiness and what we had available to cruise ships at that time. While the plan was being developed, we partnered with the Great Lakes Cruise Association to actually host a familiarization tour. So we brought in 6 different cruise lines, decision makers from 6 different lines, and brought them across the North Shore on a Zodiac from Thunder Bay, where they visited the multiple communities and attractions. They learned about the area. We also had a pilot on board to give them the technical information of what's below the water, where they could and couldn't go. From there, I always go further than my notes, my apologies. Shortly after shortly after that familiarization tour, we completed our cruise ship readiness reports as well. So that came to fruition and we were able to begin implementation. As a direct result from that FAM tour and from the implementation of our readiness plan, we were able to bring in mainly from that FAM 2 different cruise lines. We had Hapag-Lloyd planned to come to the area in 2023 and 2024, and Ponant coming in 2024 as well. Superior Country staff also took a representative from Viking Cruise Line, so a different cruise line, on a personal familiarization tour along the North Shore, brought them out to Ball Island. And from that familiarization tour, Viking then booked and has been visiting this summer and last as well. Part of the implementation of our readiness plan has had Superior Country develop a logo and a branding kit, which had particular emphasis on cruise ship decision makers. So we actually adopted the Lake Superior North Shore Inside Passage name. So it kind of hit on everything that our research pointed towards them wanting to know where we were. Lake Superior Inside Passage is a buzzword with them. So it's proven to be quite effective. Along with that, we developed a branding kit with that logo, and then we developed a brochure for the region. So it actually has information, and I believe it was included in your package as well, on each of the communities, and it's really an introduction into the region. So everything on that list, obviously there's more to offer. It's just an introduction to let these cruise lines know that we're here, we're market ready. These are the types of services we can offer, and we can work from there to build upon that. It's been extremely successful and has worked quite well. We also made arrangements with the existing communities that are hosting cruise ships now and the attractions that are being visited to collect a 20% fee. So most of the marinas and the attractions based off of our recommendation is charging a security fee to the cruise ships and then a disembarkment fee. And they've agreed to pay us 20% of those fees so that we can continue our efforts in promoting the area and trying to bring in additional cruise ships. Superior Country continues to partner with other organizations to ensure that our region is at the top of the mind of cruise lines visiting Lake Superior. The City of Thunder Bay continues to be a major partner of ours and kind of piggybacking off their success and all the great work that they've been able to do. They got the big municipal coffers to go to the meeting, so we made sure Paul Pepe, for their tourism managers, bringing our brochures with him, giving them our business cards and getting in contact with us. We also work with the Canadian Great Lakes Cruise Association. In fact, we bought a $5,000 membership from them
to cover all of you, all the communities along the North Shore. So Superior Country ate that cost to represent all of our communities in the area. And then we're also working with the US Great Lakes Cruise Association. So they're a US based organization, but they do a lot of work to promote both Canada and the US. It's kind of like our efforts in the Circle Tour. We're a better attraction together than apart.
Yeah.
So we partner with them as well, and they actually have a booth down at Sea Trade in Miami, Florida every year. Super expensive to attend, so it's kind of out of our budget, but with them there with a booth, they have our brochures, our information. And if we do decide to go, it will be a lot less of a financial burden on us to be able to just work their booth with them. However, the elections in the States will determine if they still work with the Canadians or not, so we're not gonna go there, but fingers crossed that they continue to work with Canada as well. We also continue to develop and advertise education-based articles on the cruise lines as well to kind of educate the public. There's a lot of misinformation out there on how the cruise ships operate and that kind of nature. And then there's a lot of people that we get a lot of phone calls saying the cruise ship people should be doing this and they should be doing that, and how come you don't have them? Unfortunately, I don't tell them what to do. We provide the information. They tell us what they're interested in and we make it happen for them. We make recommendations, but we don't have control over what they pick and choose. And they know their customers better than we do, and every single ship is a different consumer. Viking consumers are different than Ponant, and it's different revenues, like family revenues from interests and ages even. So in 2023, Superior Country hosted 2 international cruise lines across 5 visits on the North Shore, primarily to Belle Island, and there's where we welcome 550 guests across those visits. And in 2024, we will welcome 3 international cruise lines for a total of 8 visits. And that's coming to the area. For instance, one of those visits includes a ship that's actually making multiple stops along the way. So while we have no visits for Nipigon planned at this time, we continue our efforts to promote the town as part of the North Shore Inside Passage. And we also try to encourage, because Red Rock is out there and we do have ships visiting Red Rock, we try to encourage land transportation activities to bring them to Nipigon as well. Unfortunately, this year they did not bite, primarily due to the costs of land transportation we're finding. Once we get them on land and try to move cruise ship people around, it drives up our costs, and they just don't want to bite on that. So we're working there, and we will still continually promote Nipigon as part of the Lake Superior North Shore Inside Passage. We are planning another familiarization tour next year, so Superior Country is planning on investing another $50,000 to host another FAM where we can bring 6 to 9 different decision makers from different cruise lines along the North Shore again and show them the area. Hopefully we can repeat the success that we've had so far. A nice tidbit of information is Belle Island, from their visits last year, was the most revenue they generated in 1 year since their existence. And they've been able to reinvest that dollars into the attractions, which is being run by volunteers and locals and giving them more dollars to work with. And the economic impact is strong on the North Shore for cruise ships. It's definitely stronger in Thunder Bay, because in Thunder Bay, it's an embarkment and disembarkment city. People fly in and fly out to get on and off. And also they have their gray water, their holding tanks pumped there and things like that. So definitely the economic impact is greater in Thunder Bay, but even them coming here, we're not talking millions of dollars, but we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, anywhere between $50,000 and $80,000 of economic impact last year, just from 5 visits. So if we can work to continually increase that and spread that wealth around, that would be great. We're very excited that we have Pinot this year actually visiting mainland areas. So we have Pinot next month coming to Red Rock. I believe Rossport as well. There's Terrace Bay. So it's great to have them on the mainland, because that could increase our economic impact as well. Another great news piece was Viking received permission to actually dive the Ganilda. Double-edged sword on that one. They dived the Ganilda, which is great. They're not actually, it's a submarine going down, but then they have less of an economic impact because they're spending their time over the wreckage. We did manage to increase some economic benefit though by having a guest speaker go onto the ship and present. And now Viking is also pairing it with shore passes to Battle Island as well, so there's still economic impact there as well. But getting those resources and telling the story of the Ganilda and things like that is great as well. I do have dates for all the cruise ships coming. If anybody wants them at a different time, I'd be happy to share. But yeah, that's about it. I went on longer than I thought.
Does anyone have any questions for Dan?
We need a shipwreck closer.
There is the Nebang. Nebang is just outside of Red Rock, and we're trying to push that one as well to get more interest in this area. We're really hoping for Pinot's visit to Red Rock next year to snowball these cruise ships. They like to copy each other, right? Once one does something, the rest kind of will, oh yeah, they like that, they made some money, we're gonna do that too. So we're really hoping to snowball this and hopefully look at other wrecks and things of that nature as well.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, moving on, Franco-Ontarian Day in Nipigon. So this is resolution 177-2024, moved by Councillor Harper, seconded by Councillor Westhaver. Whereas by the virtue of the Franco-Ontarian Day Act, which was legislated on April 26, 2010, it is declared that September 25th of each year be recognized as Franco-Ontarian Day throughout the province of Ontario. And whereas as September 25th is the anniversary of the first raising of the Franco-Ontarian flag, and it represents over 400 years of French presence in Ontario. And whereas there are more than 745,000 Francophones in Ontario, the largest Francophone community outside of Quebec. And whereas Franco-Ontarian Day has become an annual occasion to celebrate the Francophone community, now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Nipigon hereby proclaim September 25th of each year as Franco-Ontarian Day and join the Francophone community of Nipigon in celebrating its exceptional contribution to Ontario's growth and prosperity. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay. Thunder Bay DSAB. So DSAB obviously is going to the Association of Municipalities conference in Ottawa. I think that's this weekend. And they just sent us their briefings for their delegations. So this is just for information. Does anyone have any comments about that? Okay, and then we have, sorry, I just got a DSAB thing is long. Let me get through it here. The next one we have is from NOMA. So that's the Northern Ontario Municipalities Association. Sorry, I gotta get to it. DSAB. The word delegations. There we go. They do a great job. Okay, so this is a letter from the president of NOMA, Wendy Landry, on behalf of NOMA to Premier Ford. Basically, it's expressing her concerns or our concerns as an area. Continuously being unsuccessful in securing a multi-minister meeting at AMO and Roma conferences. So the first, I'll just comment on that. The first Roma conference that I went to, NOMA was able to have, there was a whole big table of ministers, and I think there were 3 issues that they were bringing up, and they were able to present directly to those ministers all at once and have an audience there. Like as I was sitting there, I was a part of the delegation. That was the last time that they were able to get that. They've been denied their multi-minister, and her point being that we don't have, our small towns don't have the budget to constantly be going to all these conferences and getting these delegations. And so it's important for for NOMA to be able to get those meetings with the ministers, the minister meetings. So she's telling Ford what NOMA's opinion is on that.
In a
So,
nice way.
In a nice way.
yes, she's explaining why it's important for NOMA to have those meetings. So we are looking to, it looks like we have a mover and a seconder to support this letter. So 178-2024, moved by Councillor Harper. No, that's Hart. Seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the Council of the Township of Nipigon supports the letter from the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, NOMA, requesting a multi-minister meeting at the AMO conference on August 18th, 2024. And that this council supports the resolution 2024-33 from NOMA, requesting that the Ontario government work with the Eastern Ontario Workers Caucus, EOWC, to establish, number one, to establish a senior staff cross-ministry working group. Number two, expand program eligibility for regional organizations like the EOWC and upper tier municipalities. Number three, support a new communal servicing approach developed by Frontenac County to spur rural housing and community development. Number four, work with EOWC to identify and make available appropriate provincial lands and properties. Number five, encourage the federal government to be in a 7+ partner. All in favor? Opposed and carried. F, support a set aside for Northern Ontario with the OINP. Okay. We do have a mover and seconder for this. So do you have a better way of summarizing this, this one? I mean, it's basically to, there's the Northern immigration pilot that's been happening for the past, I think it's 4 or 5 years now, to encourage immigration into our smaller communities, or northern communities, not just our smaller communities, where there is a labor shortage. And so they're asking for spaces within a similar it's the OINP program that does the similar thing, that they're setting aside spaces for Northern Ontario. That's what they're asking for, so that we can take advantage of the program. All right, that's how I read it in a nutshell. 179-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaven, seconded by Councillor Harper. Whereas employers across Northern Ontario are experiencing a shortage of qualified employees in a shrinking labor market, and whereas population and migration trends to 2021 suggest that Northern Ontario needs 100,000 newcomers by 2841 to sustain current population, and whereas the success of the federal rural and northern immigration pilot indicates that allocating nomination spots to address regional labor shortages is an effective way to attract newcomers to Northern Ontario. And whereas the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program has been expanded from 9,750 in 2022 to a goal of 21,500 in 2024. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the Township of Nipigon to urge the Government of Ontario to ensure that the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program addresses labor market challenges by allocating 3,000 nominee spots to Northern Ontario. Be it further resolved that copies of this resolution be forwarded to the Ontario Minister of Labour, Immigration, Training and Skills Development, local members of Provincial Parliament, the Northwestern Ontario Municipal Association, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and the Thunder Bay Chamber of Commerce. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, next we have a request from the Red Rock Indian Band to request for support of the annual Salmon Derby. And I'm assuming, so we have a mover and a seconder, but we don't have an amount in here, so probably the same as last year. I'm not sure what that is, but what is here?
I believe that we sponsored for the powwow this year a little bit more. Because we did the bronze, or yeah, I believe it was the bronze sponsorship.
Okay.
So I would recommend sponsoring the Salmon Derby for $250 this
For
year.
$250? Okay,
Yes.
and that's something that we would normally sponsor when events and things ask us for
Yes.
cash money, right? Okay. Is everybody okay with that? If I
Yeah.
put 215?
Yeah.
Okay, so resolution number 180-2024, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the council of the township of Nipigon hereby supports the Red Rock Indian Band 16th annual Salmon Derby with a $250 sponsorship. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, Lars, do you want to go through the next one here? This is the Ministry of Infrastructure letter.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we were unsuccessful in the Hughes Housing Water Assistance Fund for the Living Mantle and Harkness Drive, or sorry, Harkness Street. So there is another round coming out, and it's available only to the communities that didn't put in an application the first round, or were denied. So we're not having to compete with some of the larger communities that probably got it, most of Southern Ontario. I did reach out to get some feedback as far as our application goes, and they were very limited in what they could provide me, but they did provide kind of the areas that we need to focus on as far as the application. So there is a proposed resolution to, because that is opening tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow. Okay. Okay.
That's the intention.
So we're gonna try again and see, maybe have success.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
There's about a quarter of the funding that was available in the first round, but a lot of the big players, I guess you'd call them, or have probably already received the funding. So we're doing probably a smaller, so maybe more communities will be able to take it. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think we were hopeful, but I don't think we were expecting to get that first round of funding, so it's not the end of the world, and so, yeah, if we can try again, that'd be great. Okay. So this is resolution 181-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart, that staff are hereby authorized on behalf of the Township of Nipigon to submit an application to construct, oh, sorry. I thought that was to let you do the next application, but there's no, okay. Fine. So we're good with them putting forth an application for the next round.
That's it.
Okay, Trillium Foundation, do you want to go through that one too, if you could? Lars?
Yeah, and do you recall what it was a pretty broad application as well.
Yes,
So, do you want to speak on that?
not really. I think that you helped
Mhm.
Shane with that one, right? Like,
Yeah, so that was a few months ago though, so I think it was, it was for the recreation center.
Okay.
And it was for the purchase of some equipment. I get it confused with the one that's currently in
Yes.
right now, so. I can't remember what was on it. It was
Quite a bit.
There was
in
quite a
there,
few
right?
things. I think we were trying to max out as much as we could for the money for that.
Repairs for the doors and, was there the boiler too? Upgrade?
That's the NOHFC one that's currently
Okay.
being worked on,
Um,
right? See, I'm
I
confused.
feel like it's the generator. The generator was part of that, the NCC generator.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so we'll have to look at that and see, yeah.
What happened to that, that I guess Kathy's pet project there, the mats, sound mats that would, especially for the fall fishing festival to get the sound.
So that is in the NOHFC fund, application, so that first stage it's been approved to move forward to the second stage. So that's currently what staff is working on, is that expanded application for, and that was for a number of things. The OTF grant would have been like, purchasing of, I know that tables were in it, because, that's something that we were needing for, especially for the fall fishing festival and
They're
things like
getting
that.
pretty
I
wrapped.
was getting that mixed up as well.
Yeah, right? So anyways, I think you wanted to look again at that and see if we can maybe scope it down a bit and then look at applying it in September and then reopen.
Yeah, they typically do 2 rounds of capital, and it usually comes out September, October, so we should probably find something out in the next month, and it gives about a month of timeline.
Okay.
So depending on what the funding is, we might have to probably narrow that down.
Okay.
But that would be the recommendation to get a, sometimes it's better to throw a smaller one at it, because everyone's trying to go for the big pot,
Yeah,
so.
And that one's a competitive one
Yeah.
too. It's pretty competitive. You don't have people, for the most part, helping you along. They'll give you advice on how to do things, but they don't like look at your application and help you strengthen it, which is something that the NOHFC people do, so.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll take a look at it and try again. Okay, and then we have our next item that we had added on, that we amended, so we added on a J, which is adding a member onto the Committee of Adjustment. So that's what this resolution is for. Resolution 181-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart. That staff are hereby authorized on behalf, this is the wrong one.
Did you pass that one?
Okay, so this is the right one that I was reading. Okay,
Yeah.
there is one. Okay. We did direct staff, but we'll have a resolution for it too. Sorry. I started to read water main, sanitary, stormwater, and I freaked out and thought it was for something else.
Yeah.
181-2024, moved by Councillor Westhaver, seconded by Councillor Hart. That staff are hereby authorized on behalf of the Township of Nipigon to submit an application to construct a new water main, sanitary, and stormwater sewer between Greenmantle Drive and Harkness Street under the Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund in the second intake as offered by the Ministry of Infrastructure. Basically, if we get the funding, we're moving forward with it. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Sorry, guys. If I would have read a few more words down, I would have seen. So this is our appointments, our added agenda item J. Appointing member of the Commitment of Adjustment. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, we have a meeting on August 21st, Adjustment Committee, which I'm part of, and Laura's will be there, of course, and so maybe we'll get something back by then. I doubt it, though, but push.
As far as report from staff, is that what you need?
Mhm.
Yeah, you get a report probably, 21st will be what, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, so you'll probably get it on the Monday or Friday.
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, fingers crossed.
So, this is resolution 182-2024, moved by Councillor Hart, seconded by Councillor Westhaver, that the council hereby appoints Lindsay Mandela as a member of the Township of Nipigon's Committee of Adjustment effective August 14th, 2024. All in favor? Opposed? And carried. Okay, before we go into closed session, I'm just gonna do a round table here and see if anyone has any other business. Councillor Hart.
I have nothing.
You good?
Cover mine with the mats.
Okay,
I have nothing.
nothing, okay. Staff, Linda, do you have anything?
No, I don't believe so. Just the Blueberry Blast is coming up.
Yeah,
And there's
Sounds like
millions
it's
and
gonna be
millions
good.
and millions of blueberries.
I
And
heard they were.
I can't pick them all myself.
there are a lot.
I made a big
My
wall.
wife's going up tomorrow to help. take some of those.
Yeah,
We'll follow you then.
I've been taking people.
Yeah, we have our spot. It is like grapes.
Lars, do you have anything?
Yeah, council, so some of you may be aware that the beer stores announced it's closing September 1st, which is unfortunate news. So staff have reached out multiple times to the beer store to get a contact. We just received the regional manager's contact, and we're trying to coordinate a meeting with members of council to see if there's anything we can do. So unfortunately, as of right now, and now I'm not going further, but it's, as it's a corporate private company, it's kind of out of the township's hands, but if there's anything we can do, we'll try to do our best, so.
Yeah, so I'll speak on that too. It is unfortunate and it's very disappointing. And like Lars said, it is a private company. There's nothing we can, it's like calling up Walmart and telling them what to do. They will not probably listen to us, but that doesn't mean that we can't try and talk to them and at least get some information and find out what's going on. I did reach out to MPP Holland. As he is part of the current government, he has not responded back. I did reach out to our MPP, Lise Bourgeois, and she did respond back, and she said, she advised me that Geraldton's beer store is closing as well. So this is not a Nipigon issue, this is a beer store thing.
I think I heard something about 9 of them across the province.
Yeah, I haven't heard that.
I just heard Geraldton too. That was the only one, yeah.
Yeah, and so she, her staff was going to be in touch with the union and find out if they have any more information. I would like to express my disappointment on how this has been handled by that company. There's nothing posted on the door. There's no public, news release or announcement in any way, shape or form. And we kind of had to find out by word of mouth, from a staff member. That's not a management, that this was coming. I personally believe that this is, and again, this is just my opinion, looking at it from the outside, and they are moving towards privatization. I did read that the government gave them, that company, $52 million to start transitioning their distribution channels, is how they put it.
Yeah.
So reading
Dumping.
between the lines.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not getting this straight from staff. What I've heard is there's an issue with the building. So let's say they have to spend $30,000 to replace the roof. And in a private business scenario, why are they gonna spend $30,000 on a building when in 5 years' time, they're gonna end up closing it down anyways, right? That's their dollars and cents, they're being counters. So that's what I think. I think that they're gonna be starting to close these places down as they start to deteriorate or have problems, and they're not gonna invest any more money in them. That's just I think the way it's going.
Supposedly, they'll still sell the beer to wherever they're selling it to, whether they put it in their store or Zeckner's.
Right.
It makes no difference to the brewers.
No,
In
because
fact,
they're
the
still.
beer store costs them money.
Well, and that's my point too, is the more I thought about it, again, if you're in a business scenario and you're paying for a building, you're paying for insurance, you're paying for salaries, you're paying for, I don't know if they get benefits and pensions. Like overhead, how much does it cost to the fridges and all that kind of stuff. And then they can just turn around, and now they've been given permission, it's legal now to sell it in corner stores, and they sell it to the LCBO, and they don't have any overhead. What a deal.
Yeah.
So,
The
And
bad thing is there's
52
employment
million.
involved there.
Well, it does open up opportunities within the community itself.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
one thing we need downtown is some sort of convenience. If you have a convenience store, put some beer in there.
Yeah.
Like, that's the
If you
thing.
had it convenience,
No, but something like that would
Yeah.
potentially be a
Mhm.
deal maker
right,
as opposed to just a convenience.
like
store.
Dorian.
Yeah, you have to have multiple things in to survive now.
Oh, I know.
Dorian Co-op sells.
They have an LCBO.
Yeah.
so we'll see how, our LCBO obviously will continue to sell beer.
Yeah.
But as of September 1st, from what we understand, our beer store will be closing. So,
Not very nice of a corporation just to do that, eh? Like I said, no official notice.
Yeah.
But that's,
The only way you find out is that the employees were laid off. They got their layoff notices.
That's how we found out.
Yeah.
Totally unacceptable.
yeah, so we will update the community as we get any more information. But right now, we don't have any official information. So. Okay. All right, we are gonna be moving into closed session, so we will, yes, of course. Before we go away, yeah. Sure
Big
thing.
handshake and,
Yeah,
Just me or the whole council?
well, and the whole country.
Yeah, we can fit it in.
Well, there's only 3 more.
And I always have these giant chairs.
I'll stand behind ours.
Stand over
Okay, let's.
No.
Do we have some people sitting maybe? Or like, yeah,
Like little short.
yeah, okay, let's get some of us
I
sit.
want you standing up.
You want me standing?
yeah, you gotta shake Laura's
Okay,
hand.
come on over, Lars.
Yeah.
Glenn, do you wanna sit here?
I'll sit here.
Anyway,
Oh, I get to
Lars,
sit?
I'm Glenn
Sweet.
Water, and I'm the reporter.
Well, you're gonna sit.
I'm gonna sit.
Oh, man, isn't this wicked, just to have a picture?
You go in the middle, you are taller, you go in the middle, yeah,
Okay.
okay, I don't know.
doesn't make any
Wait.
sense.
Sit here.
Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Well, I didn't know.
Oh my goodness, all right,
This is,
Okay, now you, we'll just put down that everybody welcomes him. You don't have to shake hands.
okay.
I'm gonna have to live with this thing.
Smile.
Yeah.
I know you've been berry picking today, but.
I always smile when I'm very big.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, all right,
It's when I come out of very big.
here we
I have to
go,
deal with the real
Musical
world.
chairs. Go ahead, Gail.
Go forward.
Oh, that's my chair.
Sorry.
Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Hey, you're not, oh, he's going to the washroom.
Thanks again. Yeah.
I'll tell you more.
Resolution number 183, 2024, moved by Councilor Hart, seconded by Councilor. Yeah, go ahead. But this council, okay, I'll do this after you go to the bathroom.
Yeah, thanks. Nice meeting you, definitely. Yeah, I spread the.
I'd just like to pass on too, before I leave, the town looks great with all the flowers now. They really,
Isn't the flowers beautiful?
Yeah.
They really are,
this
right?
year's looking good.
Yeah. I gotta talk to Irene and, congratulate her on it. The design is just beautiful, the way they just, like, she goes, they were all those little single flowers, but they're just spread out.